the leash. Mark Schwab, Fred Greetham, Zach Keenan with you for another action-packed, I almost said off-season episode. It's training camp episode, training camp edition of the program. And clearly we have to start. It's just the obvious, the lead. You got to deal with it.
Did something big happen?
About. Yes, of course. It would be ridiculous to go anywhere else to start us off. The decision this week to start Deshaun Watson over Shedeur Sanders. I'm just going to phrase the question to you guys this way. Whoever wants to start, I don't care. Did this surprise you?
It did, but it shouldn't have. I think we all should have seen the writing on the wall, especially when Deshaun got the first preseason game start with all the ones, and Shedeur's preseason start came in week 2 where he had a lot of backups around him. So the writing was on the wall, but that doesn't mean that it's not surprising to have Deshaun Watson win the job, especially when you consider the way he played, let alone this whole comments and angry at fans saying that he thinks he deserves better, that he should, the fans should be upset with him. And then he goes and apologizes without really apologizing
There was
to anyone.
That was a little bit of an odd.
He said he wanted to apologize, Mark. He never apologized. He said he wanted to. He never did.
Yeah, I mean, I've been around. I've been around back to when Bernie got sacked by Modell and Belichick. Some of the strangest press conferences I've ever been at. The Bottlegate one when Carmen Policy and Alfred Lerner said, I don't know what the deal is. It didn't pack a wallop. And it was the most uncomfortable thing to sit there and see this guy going about something, in 2-3 years ago and not understanding, just not getting, what's going on. But I said, and I might even said on this show, I said it in my publication, that when he opened it up to a competition, I said Deshaun Watson's going to win this job because he's been around 10 years. He can pick up an offense. He can get them in order. He can do the things. I didn't think it was the right move. I wrote about it Tuesday morning or Monday morning before it came out and said he's going to announce that Deshaun Watson's the starter, because the tea leaves were saying all along, you're reading between the lines. He said what he's looking for. And I got to give Shedeur the chance. It would only be fair. He said that after the Bears game. And so you knew it was happening. I just really don't get it totally. He said that had nothing to do with the post-game press conference. In other words, it was a done deal after the joint practice with the Bills when he had a good series or two. Yeah. And so this is a very bold move by Todd Monken. First head coaching job, one of the most unpopular decisions, that I can think of, and he's going with it. He's putting all the eggs in the basket of Deshaun Watson. We've been there, done that, and watched this. So, good luck to that.
I have to look at it this way, and he said it. Monken said it as much, that Watson gives them the best chance to win. Now, the outsider, the
Jacksonville game.
What's that?
The Jacksonville game. It's
Yes.
all focused on game one.
So the outsider might say, well, you can't, that's maybe true, but you can't do that considering what happened on Saturday. Todd Monken is not in this for PR. For all he knows, this is his one job, and this might be his 1 year to be an NFL head coach. He has to win games. He may be a rookie head coach, but he is not a rookie of the NFL. Mm-hmm. He understands a hot seat can develop quickly, especially in this town. Now, he might have put himself on the hot seat with this decision, but this is a guy that understands the need to win and the immediacy to win. So from that standpoint, that doesn't surprise me.
It didn't surprise me.
It's still in the moment, to Zach, to your point, that it was surprising, but it shouldn't have been. In the moment, it was still, oh my gosh, he's going to do it. We're going there. Get ready. Because, of course, it is human nature to see what transpired Saturday and be like, oh, here we go.
Well, Fred, you said that Todd Monken put out there that those post-game comments would not affect the decision, and obviously they did not. Because if those had any impact on Todd Monken's decision, Deshaun Watson would not be the starting quarterback. The starting quarterback is the spokesperson for the team. I don't care if you're 0-16, 0-17. I don't care if you're 17-0. The starting quarterback is your number one PR everything. And the tone deafness that Deshaun Watson put out, playing with his earrings, playing with his necklace, while you're talking to one of the most blue-collar fan bases in the league that works for every ticket sales that only go up, jersey sales that only go up, and to tell the fans that you think you deserve an apology, I could not believe it. And I think that's why you talk about that's going to go in the Hall of Fame as far as Brown's press conferences that have impacts. We're going to look at this one down the line as one of those Bottlegate type days that really made a mark on the franchise.
An unforced error. He just said, hey, they can do what they want. They paid. I'm just going to try to do the best I can to play if they put me out there. You don't have to go there. I don't know why you think you're going to win over anybody, because there's some booze, on a small. Wait until there's 65,000 fans in there, and you have. That's why I say these first two games are so big. You go lose those two games, you got to switch to Shedeur for the third game, even though it's the third game. He said this is only, and I get it. You got to get off to a good start. Do you know what the chances to make the playoffs are in the NFL if you lose the first two? If you're 0-2 is all.
It's bad.
10.1. Yeah. So he knows, and that's why you're exactly right. It's all about winning that first game. He's not worried about the booze in the third game. He thinks it'll take care of itself. And so that's why I wrote, if they go 0-2, I'd pivot to Sanders because your season's basically over. And what do you have to gain by playing Deshaun Watson other than hoping you can get off to a good start?
Mark, we're not going to spend all podcast talking about this, but I do want to bring up, what does this say about Shedeur Sanders and his growth, that he wasn't able to win the starting quarterback job? Now, Todd Monken said that he had come a long ways. He told us that in the press conference yesterday. But what does this say about Shedeur, that he wasn't able to outright win the quarterback competition over someone who's aiming at the ground?
I would actually flip that. I would say it's impressive he even made it this far. And I say that, and I beat this to death since the draft of last year. More likely than not, he was a fifth-round pick for a reason. I know there's all this stuff out there about conspiracy theories, and all. I don't buy any of that. More likely, he was a fifth-round pick for a reason, and that's why I've always thought Watson would win the job, and why I've always thought Sanders is probably not the future of the franchise. The fact that he got it this close, I think, says more about how far he has come than the fact that he came up short. I think that he's covered a lot of ground, and he's clearly made this interesting. Now, again, Watson, clearly not the old Watson. But the fact that we've even had this conversation, I think, says more about Shedeur and his growth than about his inability to finish this off and win it. I want to, you brought up something, Zach, and this is a good point. Your quarterback is the face of the franchise. Well, the Browns have never really had that. They had it briefly with Baker, and then they've rotated some guys in and out. Well,
Derek Anderson.
And the last few years, they haven't really had a quarterback. But they had Myles Garrett, right? Myles Garrett was the face of the franchise.
He spoke once a week.
Right. Who is the face of this franchise right now? It can't be the quarterbacks. No, I'm sorry, it can't be. It could be Shedeur, but he didn't win the job. It can't be Verse. He replaces Garrett. He might be the defensive best player. He just got here. It can't be him. There's no Joe Thomas on the offensive line. You don't even have Joel Bitonio anymore. The rookie receivers are rookies. They just got here. Nobody likes Jerry Jeudy because of last year. Judkins really hasn't been around long enough. He could get that role because he's a Buckeye. But I cannot definitively say who the face of this franchise is. Fred, what do you think?
Carson Sweat.
There it is. Thank you, Fred.
He's the blue-collar guy that the Browns fans, can relate to. And, he's I see him, first time I saw him, he reminded me of Clay Matthews, not the one that played in Green Bay, but his dad, number 57, had that blonde hair flowing out. He's just sideline to sideline. He was back at practice yesterday doing stuff, but he's the closest thing, in my opinion, to a Nick Chubb. Now he's only got 1 year, but Nick Chubb was the guy that you really wanted to emulate. You wanted him to be your guy. Unfortunately, what happened to him? And he had to retire, this week. But, I think Carson Schlesinger right now is the most logical because, like you said, Jared Verse just got here. You can't throw that in there on him. So that's what I see right now.
That would be that's as strong as a contender as this team could have. For
Denzel
face of the
Ward.
franchise. Ward is right there. And
But he's been here for so long, and he's never been that guy.
No, but he always had Miles overshadowing him.
Okay.
And I don't know if you could say anyone else on the defense overshadows him. He's also from here, Nordonia.
It's a huge thing. Go
to
Knights.
Ohio State. I think Ward is a strong candidacy, but I don't know if around the league people will be, what Denzel Ward's saying. When Myles Garrett talked, people want to know. When a team's quarterback's talking, people want to know. If Denzel Ward's talking, I don't know how many people will be like, this is, you know what I mean? And that's not a shot at Denzel. It's just he hasn't really had that role probably because he's been in the background a little bit. All right, we're going to step aside. When we come back, true, false. Yes, we're still talking quarterbacks, but I actually cannot wait to get some answers on this one. Off the Leash continues. All right, guys, true, false. Question of the week. We're going to get right to it. Deshaun Watson, incredibly unpopular right now. And I was trying to decide who is the most unpopular Cleveland athlete of all time. And the closest I can come is if I whittle it down to a certain time frame. So this is the question. True or false? Deshaun Watson right now is more unpopular than LeBron James was immediately following the decision.
Fred, I'll defer to you.
I will say. Did you say Watson is?
Watson is more unpopular than LeBron was right after the decision.
That is true, because Browns trumps Cavs, Indians, and the fans. I mean, like I've always said, when the Cavs won, it was 1 million people. You can't argue with that at the parade. I think there'd be 10 million if the Browns won. There's just so many more fans, and so the sheer number, I hear it every day. I mean, we have people, we're the Orange and Brown Report. I mean, people do not want Deshaun Watson. We had staff members quit when they traded for him, over that. And, so we hear it from the fans, and I just think it's exponential. That's just, with it just got worse.
I'm going to go ahead and say false.
Okay.
I haven't seen anyone burn any Deshaun Watson jerseys yet. We saw a whole lot of LeBron jerseys.
Exactly. I would say to Fred, they don't own any.
So that was the follow-up, is that that's because nobody bought any in the first place. Half of the Browns fan base already hated Deshaun Watson from the first time he even stepped foot in Cleveland, when he rarely ever did step foot in Cleveland, when he wasn't overseas or in Florida. But now, on top of all the horrible things that he has been accused of, just despicable things, I think accused of.
Still out there. Right or wrong, that perception is attached to
Exactly. Now the other half of the fan base hates him because he's bad at football.
Yeah.
Todd Monken said winning cures everything. Herm Edwards, when he was at Arizona State, said winning is like gravy. It's the gravy that cures everything. And that's so true. If Deshaun Watson can win games, there's a lot of people who would forget their perception of Deshaun Watson based off the actions or the accusations of his actions in the past. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing to forget that is not my place to say.
Sure.
But winning in Cleveland would absolutely change people's perceptions of Deshaun Watson, and it's very clear from preseason, from training camp bloopers, that Deshaun Watson is not the winner that he was 7-8 years ago in Houston.
No question. I mean, he did not read the room. He said it has nothing to do with performance. And I'm like,
this
it
was
has
the one
everything
time it
to
did.
do with
Right.
performance overall, because you brought what you brought here. I mean, you can point to a lot of. I mean, we had one here. Kareem Hunt was, basically kicked out of the league, and everybody kind of let that slide. He was very productive, and time does heal, but it's never healed with him because he's never been on the field. He's played 19 games out of 68 possible games. That's 28%.
He's missing almost 50 games.
And, and then he's been very poor. I mean, the last time he played was historically bad. I mean, I saw rankings by ESPN that it was like 590th of 593 quarterbacks going back. It was just, I couldn't believe how bad it was when he got hurt. So, yeah, it's performance. unfortunately.
If I showed up to work 4 out of 5 days a week, I'd be fired.
You mean didn't show up to work 4 out of 5?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
If I didn't show up 4 out of 5 days a week, I get fired. Deshaun Watson
Probably.
wants to be celebrated.
We don't get that much PTO here at 19 News. To go back to my question, I will say true. He is more unpopular than LeBron was immediately following the decision, which is something I did not think would be possible. LeBron, who has said since then he handled that poorly, and he wish he would have done it different. And I can say this. You have to look through this. One, you have to remove the lens of recency bias, and you also have to try to forget what LeBron came back and did, because we're specifically talking about how much Cleveland didn't like him after the decision. LeBron never said anything bad about Cleveland fans, which is Watson essentially did.
He antagonized them.
Right. In the run-up to that, LeBron didn't essentially win the $230 million lottery and quit his job, right? He had his moments where, people said he didn't do great in the fourth quarter or whatever, but we'd seen him drag the Cavaliers to the finals before at that point. He had one terrible night and a bad decision to go to Greenwich, Connecticut and go on national TV and do that. But the goodwill had been built up with Cavs fans before that. Deshaun Watson, to what you guys had mentioned, came here unlikable, remained unlikable.
And somehow doubled down.
And then doubled down on it, that he was the victim here. So I would say somehow, some way, Deshaun Watson has eclipsed LeBron immediately after the decision as far as most unpopular athlete. I'm trying to think of anyone else who, Albert Bell, when he left for Chicago, people didn't like that. I remember people dumping fake money into the left field stands. There was a big problem with that. But that wasn't to this level. If you want to go way back, nobody liked Keith Hernandez from the Indians when he took a bunch of money and then never played. That would be comparable, except he wasn't nearly the get that Watson was. And
right.
So I think he is, and he's going to be very hard to surpass as the most unpopular Cleveland athlete ever.
Well, and it was like even, this is a preseason game, and hardly anybody was there after that storm. And that's what I said, when you got a full stadium. Whereas LeBron, there was hatred immediately, or deep-seated anger, I should say, but it all went away when he came back.
That's the other thing,
I don't think if Watson went away and came back, it would be that
Imagine
reception.
Deshaun leaves and then comes back and leads the Browns to the Super Bowl championship. That would be the weirdest thing we have ever seen.
If they brought him back, forget 65,000 fans booing. They'd be lucky to get 6,500 people inside the stadium.
Yeah, it would be bad. When we come back, let's step aside. We're going to take a break from talking about Watson and Shedeur. I want to talk about a little bit practice today, and there is quarterback talk that does not involve either Shedeur or Deshaun. Off the leash. Back in a flash. Gentlemen, game 3 of the preseason is this week. It's against New England, and it sounds like it's the Dylan Gabriel, Taylor Green show. This is the other quarterback battle, right?
Yeah, this is what it comes down to. You're not going to carry 4 quarterbacks, and my take on it is that with Dylan Gabriel, you know what you're getting. We've seen it before. I don't want to see it again. He's consistent. I'm not going to say what kind of consistent he is, but you get the same thing from him. Whereas Taylor Green is this 6'6", 4.3 40-yard dash specimen of a human being who, not only that, coaches harp on his processing skills. They talk about how great he is of a football mind, and I cannot wait to see what Taylor Green can do, given a playbook that could be built around him, especially after Todd Monken said on Monday, Deshaun Watson said that he's talked to Todd Monken about revamping the playbook to model after Deshaun's athleticism. Well, Deshaun's athleticism is nothing compared to what Taylor Green brings to the table. He's exciting, he's fun, and I really hope that he ends up getting that third spot on the quarterback roster.
Yeah, I think what this is a chance. I think the Browns hope both quarterbacks play well, but I think they hope Dylan Gabriel plays real well, and maybe somebody looking for a backup or a quarterback, they could get a low pick for him and clear it up. I was curious, and I even asked Andrew Berry earlier, what are you going to do? You put Taylor Green out there in the preseason when he's playing against guys. We know how the preseason works. In fact, this game, Vrabel's already said he's not playing anybody on the team. You're going to have four-string guys that can't run 4-3. Oh, yeah. And if that young man takes off, he's gone. You know, he gets outside the corner at 6. And, you know, Browns fans I've been doing this long enough, are going to be calling for him to be the starting quarterback.
Of course.
And so I think it's fine. They're going to be put in a position where they're not going to be able to expose him to waivers, you know, to get him on the practice squad. I think they'd have a better chance if they want to keep somebody on the practice squad to keep, you know, to cut Gabriel and bring him back if nobody picks him up. But somebody would probably. So I think
Kevin Stefanski. Do you think he would snap him up? It feels like
that would.
The way they're running their quarterbacks right now,
dude, he loves himself a rag-armed lefty, doesn't he?
A short little lefty,
yeah.
You know, that would go with Tua and Penix and all those guys. But no, I think that's really about the only interest in watching this game is that you can't coach 6'6", 240, 4'3", and this is where you know, can you develop a guy? You know, even the first couple of years, I'm not comparing to Josh Allen, but he was about a 50% completion quarterback, you know, coming out of college, and it's like, I don't know if this guy's going to make it. But the Bills developed him in that. By third year, he's like in the MVP talk, and then he's MVP.
Well, we got about a minute left. Tuesday was the final practice for the game. Got a little spicy.
Yeah, got a little fight there at the end. I mean, Cole Wilson, undrafted rookie wide receiver, speedster, caught a pass, and Trey Avery drilled him. The ball came out. He picked it up, ran to... And the offensive players didn't take to it. Some of the starters, Zion Johnson and Titus Howard, went down, and they started shoving around Avery, and it got to be, I don't know if anything happened with it, but Cole Wilson had to be taken off after the play. So that was a little spice to end practice, and it wasn't too long after that it was over.
I want it. I want fire.
Well, these guys, I mean, what happens when Todd Monken says Spencer Fano clinched the job when he took it to Jared Verse?
Yes.
Well, these young guys are saying, well, I want to make the team.
Throw a
I'm going
punch,
to
I'll
take
make a
it to
team.
him.
I thought you made a great point. I think it was last week you said that, is that could send the wrong message to some of the younger guys, and it has been a little bit chippy. Gentlemen, it's been fun. Lots, obviously a big busy week, and we've been waiting for this announcement for months, and we finally got it, and we'll see how long it goes. They say it's not week to week. Browns quarterbacking is always week to week. I will believe it's not week to week when somebody actually has it the
Day
gig
to
for the
day.
whole year. For Zach Keenan and Fred Greetham of the OBR, I'm Mark Schwab. See ya!